how about bone marrow donors? Is there a chance that this is exactly the kind of technology that ultimately gives us a leg up in finding the kind of donors we need for bone marrow and other things like that?
So it's a very interesting question. There are algorithms that can look at your DNA and your HLA status and look to transform that into something that could make bone marrow matches. We're not quite there yet, but those are definitely technologies that are coming.
What else might we be able to do with this knowledge, Ashley? Was another question I'd received. You know, what are the logical things we could do once we see the fun of these connections?
Well, so the fun absolutely helps you learn, but then that lets you access all the other information, the health information. So as an example, in my family, perhaps not surprisingly, 43 people have been genotyped, including my grandmother. So when she was genotyped, 2 months later, she was diagnosed with atrial fibrillation. When she went to her doctor, she was, in a perhaps surprising way, able to say to him, "Doc, I happen to have the versions of the 3 SNPs that would cause me to be sensitive to warfarin." So the doctor actually knew that New England Journal publication and suggested a pharmacogenetic dosing versus the standard clinical fixed dose algorithm. So giving a patient who's empowered with their own data the appropriate medicine is critical.
So one more question that sort of I've been thinking about. You know, we're always surprised to see all these links. So-and-so is the second cousin of this, and yet when you step back, we left Africa, what, 3,000 generations ago? So we're really just the 3,000th generation from the small tribe that appears to have left Africa.
Yeah.
So in a real sense, going back 10 or 20 generations, you'd expect almost everybody to be related who's living today, because the whole human species is only 3,000 generations old. We're a fairly young species, and that interrelationship sort of reconfirms it all the time.
And this specific analysis I did is even more interesting than that, because the relationships I'm talking about here aren't relationships in the last 200,000 years on Earth. These individuals, the hops that I've made here, are really through individuals who shared a great-great-grandparent within the last 150 years. So around the time that Charles Dickens, Charles Darwin were alive.
5 generations.
That's when these individuals shared common relatives.
Well, it's fascinating. Ashley, thank you. That was wonderful.
Thanks very much.